Hey there, folks. Been meaning to make a little video for a while. I know some of you have been asking to get an update on things and just wanted to see more content, more information. And I've been meaning to make one on grafting especially, so finally got around to doing it today on this beautiful day, early spring. And I just want to go over what I use and how I bench graft, make more plants through bench grafting, which is just one of many ways to make more plants, and also just some of the tools that I also have together for like my top working kit when I go around in the field and work on trees that already exist and put more desirable genetics on top of those trees. Whether it's apples or pears or cherries or hawthorns or sea berries that are already in the ground. Those are pretty much all the ones that I work on, although I'm probably going to start to work on nuts, like walnuts and things like that. But I'm no grafting expert, but I've been doing it for about 8 years or so, maybe a little longer, every spring, and I've gotten to do a few thousand cuts or maybe a bit more. And pretty comfortable with it. And a lot of people I see lately who are getting into it are really getting kind of enamored with, well, they're not enamored with them, but they're thinking these tools are going to make things easier and faster, which isn't what I've found at all. I've actually found they're more difficult, and they cost a lot more than a grafting knife. And then you never learn how to do it the old school way, which actually I think is a lot faster and definitely a lot better. Well, it's faster, but it's certainly a lot better is what I found. So I'll just go through some bench grafting techniques after I mention the tools, and you can see some approaches that I use. So here's my bench grafting kit. Sorry, I don't have a headband for this GoPro, and so it's on my chest, rigged up kind of temporarily. Apologies for that. So basically, here are some of the tools. I'm a big fan in general of the Felco 13s. I think if you're going to buy pruners, I tell all of our students and apprentices to get the Felco 13s because you can put two hands on them. They can do what a small lopper can do, but they can still do what a regular old pruner can do. You might as well buy good ones like Felco's, because hopefully you're going to have them for your whole life. Don't lose them. These are the standard Felco 6s, which are probably about the best small hand pruner out there. They're nice. I have some cheaper Felcos too that I let other folks use, but you know, you got to be careful. These are, you can abuse them. You get in there, you hit a tree tag or anything metal, God forbid, like a barbed wire or something at the end, you can really damage them. I maintain them. I used to pull them apart a lot, but it's a lot faster to just get a little DMT diamond stone. It has super fine on one side, a little more coarse on the other, and you can just, without having to pull the whole tool apart, you can touch them up, and you can really effectively, I would put this on a bench, but I'm just demonstrating to you now, and you can kind of effectively sharpen them just like this. You watch the edge carefully to see where you're hitting it, and then again, you do want to do this on a bench, but I kind of end it like here, get any of the burr that's developed off. But that's just a thing I've started to do recently, because pulling the tools apart, you got to go into the shop or get, the wrenches, and that's good to do to clean them up and everything, at least maybe once every year or two, but depending on what you're using them for. And then I have, this is a kind of crappier stone I used to have, but I'd recommend this one. It's a nicer size. And then, there's tree tags. These are from A.M. Leonard. These are the good ones. I've bought a lot of bad ones over the years. These are the best ones I've found within reason. Different labels. Usually I have a roll of masking tape in here. Gas shells, grafting wax is my favorite. If you sit it out so it gets a little sun, it becomes really workable. It doesn't make your hands sticky. It comes right off your hands. It's workable at most temperatures. I'll sit it right there so it's ready for us. This is a perforated tape, which I like a lot. Comes apart and has an incredible stretch. You'll see that in a second. I mean, it works very, very well. For top working, I'll have loppers and often just a nice saw. So this has been my favorite general saw, is the Silky Gamatro. It has fine teeth at the front, bigger teeth in the back, so you can just, without creating any fray or ripped, grain, you can really cut well with the front, and you can use the back if you have a bigger limb to cut, or trunk. I mean, you can cut a whole tree down and top work it with that. This is bone sauce that Zach Weiss gave me. I haven't really used it much, but I'm using it lately. It's just to put on really precious scions that I don't want any deer pressure, any deer nibbling on like my new scion that I put down. So I'll just dip the scion in it. I'll actually put this right over the scion once it's grafted on already, because I don't want to get the stuff on my fingers, so I don't want to work with it on there. So that's some of the tools. A ballpoint pen writes on the, everyone always wants to write on this side. It's not what you do. You write on this side and you actually indent the tag. It's nice to have a pencil around for various reasons. Got some rootstock here, keep it in the sun. Some scions as well. These are some I harvested the other day. We got a whole much larger bundle in the root cellar, but I'm just gonna do a little demo now because it's really nice out and I want to get out skiing. Some duck eggs and goose eggs from this morning. Kale from the greenhouse. Gorgeous day. So let's start in. I'll pick a rootstock first. Clean it off. Get my pruners. And I have a lot of different scion here to work with, so I'm not too concerned where I cut this. But if I only had very minimal scion wood to work with, I'm going to want to be careful to cut it at a place where the diameter matches the scion I have. It's not crucial, but it's nice to do. If I have tons of scion, I'm not going to worry about it, and I'm going to put it at a spot that I think is just a really nice place to have the graft. And that's going to be something like here. And I'll cut it at an angle. You'll see why in a second. And again, I'm no grafting expert, so don't take anything I tell you as some only way to do it. There's a lot of ways to graft well, I think, like a lot of things. I've just showing you what I've learned works well for me. And these knives, by the way, I have a top working knife here. That's this guy, you know, like a budding knife that's good for top working and doing rind grafts and getting into the side of a tree. But in general, they're just these basic Swiss Armies, single bevel. Any single bevel knife that's really thin will work well. Even utility knives can work okay. I shouldn't keep this in the sun. It's not a huge deal, but keep it really sharp. Learn to sharpen the tool. Get a nice whetstone ideally and keep them very sharp, ready for use. That's why I have accumulated a whole bunch. But so I have the rootstock here, and I'll pick a scion that matches it. And after a while, you get pretty good at seeing a scion that's going to be the same size. And I know somewhere about in there is where I'm going to be working. And this, I'll try to take note of this right now, and if I was really smarter than I am, this is a Lobo apple. Well, I'll just do it to be proper. I'll write the tag right now, because then you're less likely to forget. So, I'll write Lobo and the date 27/16, and it's on. I'm also going to write the rootstock on Antonovka. I'll just abbreviate that. And then my pen exploded. Okay, so that's nice to just have ready, so you don't have to remember what if you're working with a lot of varieties. So I will take the rootstock. I'll make sure it's clean because it makes my knife last a lot longer, and I will just give it one good. Usually you can get them in one try when you get good, and I like putting a little back cut, and then I go most of the way to the end, and I cut in, and I'm using my 2 thumbs as breaks so I can't, or it's a lot less likely to cut myself. I've grafted maybe 400 whipping tongues already this year, and I haven't cut myself yet. So and you know, I have cut myself before, but it's very controlled. Even though you're cutting towards you and you're pulling towards you, you have a lot more control when you have thumbs to register on, and your hands actually register off each other. So then I'll take this guy, and I'm just, as I'm picking it up, I'm realizing, okay, it's slightly fatter, like a 1/16 fatter than that. So in an ideal world, I'm going to try to cut it not all the way through to the middle, so it matches up the diameter better. But we'll see how good I've done on that. Okay, so that's pretty good. So you can see I'm not all the way through to the middle, so I'm essentially making it be like it's a little less thick. And then again, see that? That's the cut. And then so that's pretty good, but it's actually, I didn't cut in deep enough on the rootstock. So I'll come in a little more. And this is where the thumbs are key, because otherwise I can totally wreck myself with these are my breaks, these 2 thumbs. I would never do this. Never just start pushing like this, because you're going to take your whole finger out. So it's all about those thumbs. Those are my breaks. Okay, so now I've got plenty deep. Okay. So it's a good fit on this side, and it's a pretty good fit on that side too. You're going for ideal, you know, complete cambial contact, right? That's the name of the game. You don't touch the grafting surface either, the fresh surface. And then I just put the tape on. I start from the bottom as my habit. I don't think it matters too much, but I think that the rain would run off more easily that way. And I can actually spin the whole package. And I can get 2 to 3 grafts per perforation. So there it is, all grafted up, and then this is nice and warm now, so I can just take a tiny amount and put it on the end to keep the moisture in, just like that. I store it for later right down there. So that's it. That's the grafted tree. I'll go through a few and show you what it looks like in with a little more of a paste to it. Okay. Let's not forget to label it. This is tricky because it's really easy for this to either fall off or for it to strangle the tree later on. You gotta keep up with the labels, the tags, and make sure to go back every year and look at your tags. And there's other ways to label, but I kind of like this early on just so it, you know, I want it to stay on there. But obviously I'm going to have to manage that once this is planted. Okay. Do another. Grab a fatter one. I'll do Lobo again. It's good to work with one, you know, one at a time, one variety at a time, so you don't get too confused. I don't think it matters as far as which one to do first. And let's see. Yeah, there's a lot more to talk about with this. There's a lot more of technique and things to point out, but actually that's a little fat of a cyan. Go down here. That's what we're looking for. Just like that. It's pretty tight. It's not gonna... I get about 95% of these, I'd say, take. Oh. I'll go for another scrap piece. You can totally like layer them up on each other. It doesn't really matter. I try to avoid getting a bud in there if I can. Let me get a little more. More is conservative compared to less. Okay, there's another. Get a couple more going. You can see, you know, when I get in the groove, I'm not talking and trying to demo this, I'll be able to get maybe well, that's the Lobo actually. You know, definitely faster than 1 a minute. See how this is not totally circular? It's if I cut it this way, it's going to be a wider cut than if I cut it this way, because it's an oval. I know my scions are really fat compared to my rootstocks right now. That often reverses, so I'm going to cut it on the side that I get a less thick of an effective cut. Hopefully you could see that. And then I'll make the same judgment on this one. Let me show you what these grafting tools do. I'll get a fat scion right here. Get another fat. This is a Lodi. Try to match it up pretty good here. And God, I want to use the knife, but I'll use one of these just so you can see it. I do not like these. So we stick them in here, and here we go. Go. Thank you. I hope you can see this all right. There's just this omega shaped kind of guillotine that comes down. And we stick it in there, and it gives you this cut, which looks really nifty. And it is pretty cool. And then stick it over here. So I normally put all this stuff in my mouth, but I need to talk to you guys. So then you got to do it the opposite way in here to get the cut to line up. Yeah. Okay. And then they just come together like this. And it's really snazzy, and they're always perfect the way they come together. But here's the problem. They're barely holding on, and this is actually a good version. They don't hold together very well, like the whip and tongue. You see the thing's really loose. So, while it's a great mating surface, they tend to fall down, and so see that. So you have to like kind of make sure it stays on there as you tape it, and it's not. There's nothing holding it together except the tape. So I'm actually going to try to have the tape pull down and then wrap and pull back up. So these things are actually, I'm going to use a lot more tape. And then even then, look at that. That's totally loose. So that's not cool, really, in my book. I don't like it. I mean, I don't want to potentially kind of waste a rootstock on that. So I'm going to actually say, forget it. And I'm going to make this into a whip and tongue because it's just way stronger. So I need a fatter scion. And now I'm working on a Lodi and Lobo. That's kind of it's a little more confusing than normal. I want it really fat. That's it. Here we go. So, pretty clear to me which tool is superior. I would take just a simple old knife over that thing any day. Not only is the knife a superior result, I think it's faster and more enjoyable to use. So like, look, you see how tight this is? This acts as one piece now. It's really bound together a lot better. I got another piece of scion I can do off of this. Like, I'll oftentimes just go two buds. Lodi. Sit that in there. Get a little of the gas shells. So let's get in the rhythm and do one more here. Two more. This is knobby. That's definitely more challenging when they get that knobby. Oh, so what's the one I just did? Because that's Lodi. I want to keep that separate. When I'm really getting rolling, like this is not really in the zone right now doing like a lot of these. I will get a whole bunch of scions cut and laid out, and I could just choose the closest diameter one. And I'm not worried about having them cut as far as them losing moisture sitting there if I know I'm just going to graft like 100 trees on a sitting. Much prefer that, to have the scions all just snipped and sitting there on the bench in front of me, usually in the greenhouse. You got to make sure you get through on both sides. That happens a lot with sea berries, not as much with apples, but that's really key. There's kind of a bud there, but not too worried. Lodi. That's dried out. It's been sitting. So I'm going to nip that off. I mean, you try to sit it in a root cellar or sit it in a place that's nice and moist and plastic bag, etc. But Apple's so easy. It's like butter to cut into. That's pretty much bench grafting as far as how I do it. Top working is a lot more fun. Oh, I'll show you one more. I'll show you this crazy tool, which is not really fun to hold whatsoever, but I'll show you. You throw it in here and it slices it. You got to get right center, and you do that, and it didn't even cut it. I've never had that happen. I've only used this like 10 times. But the idea is you get, you know, mirroring cuts. And you stick it in like that. And, you know, again, it's perfect. It's a perfect mating surface like the other because it's a machine. But it just doesn't, there's no whip and tongue. So it doesn't hold together. So I really appreciate that Grant sent this to me, Grant Schultz, for free. It's a nice gift, and I thank you, Grant. And I'm sure some people have success with it, but I like to keep it simple with the knife. So maybe other people are really fast with this, but I'm not. The thing is so it's like all the weight's up here, so holding it's even like really wonky. This is a sweet tool right here. These little Victorinox. You can get them as sharp as you need to. Even you can shave with them. You get them that sharp. They should be able to take some hair off, and then they're ready. They come that sharp, by the way.